It looks like your query weaves together two distinct themes: the real-world geography of Oceania, including remote U.S. islands like Kingman Reef and Johnston Atoll, alongside a slight nod to the fictional tropical Alola region from Pokemon. To bring it all together, here is an A to Z guide exploring the fascinating geography, history, and unique features of these remote Pacific territories, with a couple of fun tropical Easter eggs along the way. A. Atoll. Both Johnston and Kingman are geologically classified as atolls, ring-shaped coral reefs that enclose a central lagoon, formed over thousands of years as extinct volcanic islands slowly sank into the ocean. B. Biodiversity. Despite having almost no dry land, Kingman Reef is a massive global hotspot for marine biodiversity. It is home to over 130 species of stony corals and thriving green sea turtles. C. Clams. Kingman Reef is famous for its abundance of massive giant clams, Tridacna, which blanket the shallow parts of the crystal-clear lagoon. D. Department of Defense. While Kingman Reef is handled by civilian wildlife agencies, Johnston Atoll has a heavy military history and is still managed under the jurisdiction of the U.S. Department of Defense. E. Edmund Fanning, the American sea captain who first sighted Kingman Reef on June 14, 1798, aboard his ship, the Betsy. F. Flying boats. In the late 1930s, 1937-1938, Pan American Airways used the deep, calm lagoon of Kingman Reef as a halfway refueling station for massive commercial seaplanes flying between Hawaii and American Samoa. G. Guano Islands Act. In 1859, the United States Guano Company claimed Kingman Reef under the Guano Islands Act of 1856. However, because the reef is almost completely underwater, no actual guano, seabird droppings used for fertilizer, was ever mined there. H. Hazard rocks. Before it was properly mapped, Kingman Reef was a terrifying maritime hazard for 19th century sailors who frequently documented it on charts as hazard rocks or danger rock. I. Island. Dry land. There is virtually no permanent dry land here. Kingman Reef features just two tiny, narrow spits of coral rubble and clamshells that sit less than 3 feet above sea level and are often completely washed over by waves. J. Johnston Atoll. Located about 750 nautical miles southwest of Honolulu, Johnston Atoll consists of 4 islands, 2 natural, 2 man-made, and was heavily used throughout the 20th century as a U.S. military base, refueling depot, and nuclear testing site. K. Kingman. Captain W.E. The reef is named after Captain W.E. Kingman, who came across the atoll on November 29, 1853, aboard his ship, the Shooting Star, and provided its first detailed description. L. Lagoon. The core of Kingman Reef is a deep, triangular interior lagoon measuring roughly 5 by 9.5 miles, descending to depths of over 300 feet in some areas. M. Monument. Marine protection. Both atolls are part of the Pacific Islands Heritage Marine National Monument, formerly known as the Pacific Remote Islands Marine National Monument. It is one of the largest marine protected areas on Earth, completely banning commercial fishing within 200 nautical miles of the islands. N. National Wildlife Refuge. Kingman Reef was formally established as a U.S. National Wildlife Refuge in 2001 to protect its pristine, untouched coral reef ecosystem. O. Oceania. The vast geographic region of the Pacific Ocean where these remote territories are located, spanning thousands of islands between Asia and the Americas. P. Predator-dominated. Kingman Reef has a uniquely upside-down food chain. In most places, prey fish outnumber predators. At Kingman, 85% of the total fish biomass consists of apex predators like sharks and jacks, creating an intensely competitive underwater environment. Q. Quirky Alola connections. If Alola caught your eye, it's the Hawaii-inspired region from Pokemon Sun and Moon. While fictional, Alola's lush islands, executor-filled beaches, and deep ocean trenches draw direct inspiration from these real isolated ecosystems of Oceania. R. Remote. These areas are incredibly isolated. Kingman Reef sits about 920 miles southwest of Honolulu, making it one of the most distant and difficult to access places in the world. S. Sharks. Because the ecosystem is so pristine, gray reef sharks and white-tip reef sharks dominate the waters. Sharks alone account for nearly 3/4 of the top predator biomass at Kingman. T. Territorial claims. In 1922, the United States formally annexed Kingman Reef, grouping it for statistical and sovereignty purposes under the United States Minor Outlying Islands. U. Uninhabited. There are 0 permanent residents on Kingman Reef or Johnston Atoll. Johnston was completely evacuated of military personnel and civilian contractors by 2007, leaving both regions entirely to nature and occasional scientific research teams. V. Vulnerability. Because these atolls sit a mere meter above sea level, they are among the most vulnerable places on Earth to sea level rise, warming ocean temperatures, and ocean acidification. W. E. Kingman, the mid-19th century captain whose maritime logs successfully gave the dangerous reef its permanent western name. XX marks the spot, seamounts. The waters surrounding these atolls hide over 165 massive underwater mountains, or seamounts. These extinct subsea volcanoes force nutrient-rich deep ocean water upward, turning the open ocean into biological gold mines. Why? Years of military use. Johnston Atoll spent decades serving intensive military roles, from a World War II submarine base to a chemical weapon storage and destruction facility, before being safely decommissioned and turned over to conservationists. Z moves and zero public access. To close our alphabet out, both atolls are completely closed to the public, requiring strict, hard-to-get permits reserved exclusively for scientists. And as for our Alola connection, it's a zone where real-world oceanic wonders feel as magical as any Z-move dynamic from the game.